This is Unconventional Times. I'm your host, Richard Gordon. Thank you for joining us. I decided in honor of the 250th anniversary of America to do something a little bit different with our program. I decided to do a four-part series on America and why people come here and on immigration. And I chose four people I know who have different immigration stories, and to ask them simple questions about America, what it means to them, what the American dream means to them, why they're here, why their families are here. It was a really interesting discussion. I spoke to Lidia Fernandez, a woman from the Dominican Republic who had the courage to leave her home country to come to the United States for education, and to live a different life than the life that her family lived. I spoke to Gabriel Farhan, who was a college student in the United States when the Iranian war broke out in the late 1970s, and his father was visiting the United States at the same time, and they were trapped here while his mother and the rest of their family was back in Iran. I spoke to Alexander Heramides, whose family was from Greece and who came here for economic reasons, but then went back to Greece. But she chose to live her American dream by coming to the United States by herself for an education because she wanted to be a doctor and realized that America was the only place that she could do it. And then in a big departure for me, I do not like talking about myself, which is kind of funny for a guy who hosts a podcast, but I really don't enjoy talking about myself. I allowed my wonderful producer, Lou Diamond, to interview me, which gave me an opportunity to talk about my grandparents and their American journey and why they came and how that changed my life. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a little bit different than some of the other shows we've had, but I think it will give you an idea on how different people from different walks of life in different countries and different parts of the world view our country and view America, and why this American experiment is so important and American democracy is so important. And it's so important that we continue this for generations and generations to come. You know, one of the things I find that's so interesting is how uninteresting, in a way, it is. My story is no different than so many, many millions of other Americans, as is Gabriel's, as is Alex's, as is Lydia's. Each one is different. Each one is a different piece, as my former boss used to say, a piece of the mosaic. Each piece is different and each story is different, but there's so many similarities. And the biggest similarity, if you ask my opinion, and I think this is what you're going to hear, is that America is the place you come to because it is the only place in the world where you could truly live out your dreams and do what you want to do. And you'll hear that repeatedly in different ways throughout these four conversations. So listen, thank you for joining us. I'm really pleased that you're here. I hope you'll get to listen to all of it. And I look forward to speaking with you when it's over. So stay unconventional. Happy July 4th, America. Happy birthday.
These unconventional times require unconventional conversations. Listen in as your host, Richard Gordon, engages in one-on-one conversations with numerous leaders, elected officials, politicians, and others to learn what's happening in your state, on the Hill, and across America. Now, here's the host of Unconventional Times, Richard Gordon.
Thank you for joining us at this special edition of Unconventional Times. I'm your host, Richard Gordon. Immigration is a major issue in America. But America wouldn't be America without immigration. In one way or another, unless we're descended from the Pilgrims, we've all come here on different boats, but we're all here now. And that's really what I want to get to in this special episode of Unconventional Times. I want to talk to people who've come here and have made a life for themselves and who may have a different view of America than you and I have. They've seen it through different eyes. I think that's really exciting. So let's start with today's guest, our first guest today, Lidia Fernandez. A friend of mine for a while who has a very interesting story to tell that I want her to share with you. So, Lidia, welcome to Unconventional Times.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for having me, inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I'm really, really excited to be here with you today.
Well, great. Thank you so much. Listen, here's what I want to get to. You and I, as you know, have spoken privately before, and the reason you're on the show is because I found your story really interesting. So I want to start from the beginning, if that's okay. Let's start with an easy one. Where were you born? Where are you from?
I was born in Santiago, which is the second largest city in the Dominican Republic. I was born and raised in the Dominican, and I'm very, very proud of being Dominican.
Terrific. So now, so you were born there. How long did you live in the Dominican Republic before you moved to the United States?
I moved to the United States when I was 18 years old.
18. Wow.
Yes.
Now, who did you come with? Did you come with your parents? Did you come with family? Who'd you come with?
So that's interesting. My sister, who's 2 years older than me, also moved here when she was 18. So she was already here. She was living with some relatives, and my father, who you will hear about through our conversation because he's such a magnificent force in my life, he convinced me to come here for college. So I met my sister here. We rented a little studio apartment together, and I started applying for colleges.
So at 18, you came by yourself.
Right.
Wow.
So,
That's
yeah.
kind of courageous.
Yes.
And when you say here, I know I know where you live, but I mean, did you always live in Rhode Island? Is that where you came?
Yes. We came to Rhode Island. My mother had two sisters already living in Rhode Island. So Rhode Island had always been like that kind of like home, a center for her family. So we ended up coming here. Like I said, my sister was already living with some relatives. So we kind of like found a little place in Warwick, Rhode Island.
Hmm.
And we stayed there for quite a few years, almost 10 years.
Why Rhode Island? Why not California? Why not? Why? Do you have any idea why?
I think it's one of those things. Rhode Island has actually the city of Providence,
Hmm.
which has a high concentration of Dominicans. Is along with, I will say, Lawrence, of course, the state of New York, among other cities, New Jersey has some of these cities just have this higher concentration of Dominicans. I think it's one of those things that you kind of like go and look to for that feeling of home. And I think my mom's family was looking for that feeling. We ended up meeting here with them, and we kind of stay. It became home to us.
Was being with a number of people from the Dominican Republic important to you? I mean, is it a comfort level or why? Did you ever think of living elsewhere?
I didn't. No, it didn't occur to me. And it wasn't so much that we were looking for that, higher concentration of Dominican community per se, but it was just something that my sister knew. And to us, it was something along the lines of, okay, you are already somewhat familiar with the state, you are already familiar with the environment. Let's not change that because I'm coming into the picture now, and there's gonna be two very, very young girls. My sister is only 2 years older than me, so
Right.
she was 20. It's gonna be two very, very young girls. It's best to stay around family, best to stay what you're familiar with. And my sister was already actually working as an administrative assistant at college. So she already
I
had
see.
a good job. So we kind of like decided to not move around those pieces and just kind of like have me as the newcomer and leave it at that.
Did you say your mom was here already?
No, my sister.
Your sister was
My
here, so
sister
your
was
mom and
here
dad
already.
was in the
Yes.
DR. Are they still there?
Yes, they still live in the DR. They love it there. They do visit quite often. They're here for three, 4 times a year.
So obviously Spanish is your native language. How complicated was it for you to move to the United States and go to school here?
It was very so. When I was going through what we would call high school in the Dominican, I did take English courses, but it's one of those things that you do learn the basics, but you have to be here and be exposed to the actual language to kind of like have a feel of what you know. Turns out I didn't know much. I thought I did. So It was very difficult. I have to say that I used to smile a lot and say yes a lot.
Without
And
knowing what you were talking about.
without understanding, because to me it
Right.
was really hard to understand the language because I felt like everybody speaks so fast. Let's slow down so I can understand. So, funny story, my very first night of college, I came home to my sister and I cried. I say I couldn't understand a word the professor was saying. I don't think this is for me. I think I need a little bit more time. And my sister said, no time, you're going back tomorrow. It will get easier. And it did.
Look, I give you a lot of credit. What inspired you to do this? I mean, your sister was here, but your whole family's in the Dominican Republic. Why did you decide to come to college in the United States? What were you trying to accomplish?
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with any of Latin American education systems. But one thing that we find to this day is that there's more access to education, higher education in the United States than it is in my country, the Dominican Republic. And I will assume in other Latin American countries. So my father, again, who you will continue to hear about, he sat me down and said, "Listen, you're graduating from college and you're graduating from high school and you want to go to college and you have the opportunity to go to college to the best country in the world. You get a degree from the US and you can go anywhere and work and you can go live anywhere. Just go to college in the US, see how you like. If you don't like it, you can come back. But the opportunities that you will get from getting an education in the US as opposed to getting an education in the Dominicans are very different. So I want you to go try that." So he convinced me. I'm not gonna lie, this is also actually kind of funny. I saw an opportunity to be able to live with my sister and be young and go out and have fun without kind of like having my parents watching too much. So it didn't I didn't need too much convincing, but at the end of the day he was right. I think that the main reason was the opportunity to get an education here and being able to have a degree and find employment opportunities here who which are very different than in the Dominican.
I want to get to the employment opportunities in a minute, but so it sounds like your decision to come here was largely economically, educational, but also economically based. Is that fair?
100%, yes.
So what was your dream? What were you thinking about? You're an 18-year-old girl, you're in the Dominican Republic, you decide to come to college in the United States. What were you planning to study, and what was your ultimate dream of what you wanted to become?
So at that point, it's really interesting because at that point, my dream was just to come here, get a college degree, and be involved in some sort of business. I have always been business driven, always had some sort of entrepreneurial mindset. So my dream at that point was definitely to get some sort of business degree, get involved in a business, and get settled here. At that point, I didn't know how things would end up going for me, but that was the basis of it.
Talk to me then about how it transpired. So you go to college, you're living with your sister, you're having way too good a time, it sounds like. We won't tell your dad about that. But walk me through the next couple steps of your life. What happens then? You graduate from college, and then what?
So I graduated from Johnson Wells University here in Rhode Island with a bachelor's degree in business management. And I graduated, I'm young, I have a boyfriend who's now my husband. And I said to my dad, "Dad, I'm done with school." I actually at that point had a job as a litigation paralegal in a big law firm in Rhode Island. So I was doing pretty well. My dad then asked me a question. He said, "So what about a master's degree in, with a concentration in some sort of leadership?" And I said, "No, Dad, I just graduated from college. I don't want to go back." And he convinced me to go ahead and enroll in the Johnson and Wales master's program with a concentration in organizational leadership. And because I was so excited to go, I ended up graduating actually 2 semesters earlier because I really wanted to complete it and get it kind of like done with. And as I was going through school, I was working full time. I went to school at night always. I never went to school during the day I never went through a regular, day program.
Even in
I,
college?
even yes, through all my college years, I was always a nice student, and I was always working full time. At some point, I had two jobs. I had a job at Chuck E. Cheese's,
Uh-huh.
and I had the job at the law firm as a legal assistant at that point.
I assume you had to get a green card and do all of that. Was that complicated? Was it hard to do? How does that all work?
No, so because of my mom's family, I was able to get a green card because her family petitioned for her and she petitioned for us. And then, even though she didn't end up, using the privilege of living here as a permanent resident, we were able to benefit from that. So for us, it wasn't a difficult, process. The one thing that I did as soon as I was able to, which at that point was 5 years of being a resident, a legal resident, was naturalized as American citizens. I did put in my application 5 years after I got here, and I lived here for 5 years.
Talk about that process a little bit. So you're here for 5 years, you apply for citizenship. How long did it take for you to become a citizen? Why did you do it? What was your decision to become a citizen?
So I always had a curious mind. And as I was going through school and, in applying for jobs and, interacting with Americans and interacting with other legal residents, interacting with illegal immigrants, I came home one day and I started doing research. I said, what are the benefits of a legal resident, alien, versus a naturalized citizen? And there's quite many differences in between. But one of the things that really stood out to me was that a resident alien, you can get that revoked due to many reasons. Even, some of those could be felonies, fraud, different things. And I said to myself, well, I don't think I want to go back to the Dominican. I really like my life here. Now, at that point, I have my brother here, who's a year older than me. I have my sister here as well. And we're making a very nice life here. I have my job, and I was going to school. So I said to myself, what's the next step to make this even more permanent for me? So I went online, actually. So there's plenty services that are offered, filing up an application. I filed my application myself at that point. And I mailed my application, I mailed the paperwork, and it took about, I want to say, 6 months to become a naturalized citizen. And I have to say, that was a very, very happy day, the day that I was sworn in as a citizen. It was very, very special because I felt like I was able to accomplish something. And then I turned around, I told my sister, my brother, you two are nuts.
Did they do it?
Yes, they did it.
So the three of you have done it. Well, good for you. That must
Yes.
but it wasn't a dream of yours your whole life to be an American citizen. It was once you were here and just saw the opportunities.
Yes. Yes, I saw how, even though I love my country and I love where I come from, I have to say that to me, this country is more structured in ways that can benefit a family, that can benefit an individual, in ways that you can find opportunities. So I
Lydia,
said to
talk to me
myself,
about that. Be specific. I'm very interested in that. What do you mean? So
well,
what about the United States and being a citizen? What type of opportunities are we talking about? How did this transpire?
I think that the main opportunities are education. I want to say we have access to education here in a way that I feel like a lot of us don't know or understand. Back in the Dominican, just to give you an idea, you cannot just walk into a school and say, hey, I would like to enroll in. What opportunities can I find as far as financial aid or governmental help? There's no such a thing. You either go in with a checkbook and your wallet, or there's not an opportunity for you to educate yourself. And I think through education, you can then go ahead and improve your quality of life, right? If you work hard here and educate yourself, then you can find those opportunities that is going to improve your quality of life, as opposed to coming here just working and just kind of like living that day to day, which is a lot of what I see in my community, not with this newer generation but with the older generation. It was very hardworking labor base, as opposed to kind of like looking for those educational opportunities that the country has to offer. And not only on a higher education level, training, certifications. There's a lot over here that I never saw back in the Dominican being offered, especially to young people.
Talk to me about what you're doing now. I mean, I happen to know, but tell us, what you're up to, and how this is all. So you move here, you spend time with your sister, you go to college, you graduate, you get a master's, you become a United States citizen.
So fast forward to many, many years after, I found myself, well, my brother and my father started investing in real estate.
Oh,
And
in the United States?
yes, my father, very smart guy, said to my brother around 2009, go find some multifamilies, do the work yourself, and let's build a rental portfolio. And me always being that person that's always looking things up and finding stuff out and following rules, I was kind of like in charge of administration. And I started loving real estate, and I realized that the job I had as a legal assistant in a litigation setting, focused on evictions and foreclosures, wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I ended up meeting a real estate attorney. His name is John Chekachi. John is an amazing person.
I know John, he is an amazing person.
He's amazing. He is a great mentor. He is a great leader. And he is one of the top real estate attorneys in Rhode Island. So I met John. I ended up going to work for John, and it started building my real estate portfolio. So at that point, I was a real estate paralegal for John and also a real estate investor. Learned so much from John, and through today, he is one of those people that I go to for advice and that I follow as a leader and as a mentor. So I'm working for John as a real estate paralegal and real estate investors. And then we're doing really, really good. My husband and I are working together. He's a contractor. I work on the legal side of things. My brother's a contractor as well. My sister's a real estate agent. So everybody's kind of like connected.
Are you all in business together?
We're all in business together. It's amazing.
Right.
And I always had that desire to look into law school. So I took my LSAT back in 2019, and I had a decent score, but I never put in my applications in. I was busy. I had two kids. They're now 11 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept putting it off. So John, being the person that he is, he asked me one day, he said, Lidia, when is the application due for law school? Because he kept pushing me to apply. I said, well, it's Monday. He said, Lidia, if you don't apply for law school, don't come to work Monday. You're fired. You need to go and apply. So I came home. I said to my husband, well, If I don't apply for law school, I don't have a job on Monday. So I guess we're applying for law school. So fast forward, I started law school in 2023 as a night part-time student. It's a 4-year program. And I'm happy to say I'm 2.5 semesters away from obtaining my law degree.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. When you get your law degree, will you continue to do the same type of work you're doing, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love seeing people smile when they get their home. So they make the first investment in real estate. I think that real estate changed my life, and it made me grow not only as a professional but also as a person. And that's something that I really, really enjoy. I enjoy working with John. I enjoy making things happen at the office. We have a really good operation. I work with great people, so that's definitely the path I want to follow.
Talk to me a little bit about your children. As a parent, well, as an adult, you made a major change in your life. Your children are born here; they're American citizens. They don't have to go through all the things you went through. Talk to me about your dreams for them. Talk to me about how living in America changes their viewpoint on their future, as opposed to when you were a little girl. How different is it?
Um, well, my kids, Luna and Louis, they're 11 and 13. And one of the things that I always made sure through them growing up and as they continue to grow was me explaining to them and making them understand why I'm different, why I have an accent, why, I wasn't born here. So there's a lot of things that I'm still not familiar with. And I think that they enjoy kind of like learning with me. And some of the things that I want my kids to kind of like keep in mind for the future and to grow with is, I would say the most important one is going back to that word, opportunity. I want them to understand that this country gave me the opportunity to turn my dreams into reality. And that was through education and my hard work. You have to take the opportunity, take it, grab it, and put the hard work into it. I could never have imagined coming here at 18 years old that I will have an MBA degree, or I will be working in a field that I enjoy, or that I will be really close to getting a law degree. All of that happened because people believe in me. People like John, people like my dad, people like my sister, like my husband, like their spouses. I work hard, and this country gave me the opportunity to keep growing. So I want my kids to understand that they have a different position because they were born here. But guess what? They have more opportunities. I had opportunities as an immigrant. Imagine them. So I keep implementing that in them. I keep talking to them about it because they don't know. I do. I seen the other side of the world. They haven't. So I want to keep reiterating that.
I was going to ask you what the American dream means to you, but I think you just told me.
Yes, it means opportunity. But what do you do without opportunity, right? You
Right, but
have
it
to
also
take it
matters
and
what you
work.
do with it. And a lot of people, you've done it, Lydia, you've done a lot with it, and a lot of people haven't. Let me just ask you an immigration question before we move on a little bit. It's a lot of immigrants that I've spoken to have very different views on immigration, on what the United States should do about allowing immigrants into this country. I assume you came on an education visa. That would make sense, right? What are your views on immigration? What should the United States policy be? How open should we be? We are a country of immigrants, but that has been very controversial, especially over the last few years. I'm just curious from your experience, what you feel should be done.
Well, I think that there should be definitely some sort of restriction on illegal immigration. I think that coming from a country with illegal immigration is a big issue. We have a big issue with illegal immigration with Haiti. I do see what illegal immigration, I have seen what illegal immigration has done in my country. So there should be definitely some policies in place for control. Again, but there should also be opportunities for those who are looking to stay here, work hard. So again, that word opportunity, I think that the current immigration, environment is really tense. And I know there's a lot of, different opinions, but coming from someone who came here and to went through the process and made it a priority to become a legal citizen, to become a naturalized citizen, I can say that the avenues are there for people to do it. Now, some people, for X, Y, or Z reason, didn't get to do it. Those people, the question here is, I guess, you know, if you had the opportunity to become a naturalized citizen, did you take it? Or, are there opportunities for those people who have been here for a long time and who have been working, who have been raising their kids here? Is there an opportunity for them to become either a legal resident or a naturalized citizens? So I think that among so many opinions, among so many things that we can say, the one thing I do have to say is we do have to do things the right way. The policies and laws are there to follow. And as a law student, I understand that. I know a lot of people don't understand that. There's a lot of emotion involved, but we do have to do things the right way and go to the right to the appropriate channels to get things done the right way. It cannot be chaotic. It cannot be, just because, and it cannot be just because we want.
What do we do with the millions of people in the United States who came here illegally? You did it the right way. You did it by the rules, as you said. But we have millions of people here. We're millions of dreamers, children of illegals. Being in the community and seeing it day to day, what do you think we should do about that?
Question, Richard.
You want to be a lawyer? I thought, Lydia, I would.
No, I like it. What should we do? I think that
I wasn't actually planning to go this way, but as
no,
I say,
I love it. Thank you.
You opened the door, so we're going there.
Thank you. I think that this for unconventional times, I may have an unconventional view as a person who was not born here. So I think that those millions of people that are here, that, like you said, they have children and that are working really, really hard, they should have some sort of opportunity to naturalize or at the very least get a legal resident card. But they should go through the proper avenues without running the risk of being sent back to their country. Again, that word opportunity. They should have that opportunity. Now, if among these millions of people who are here, who have children, who are working really, really hard, and they're just looking to get ahead, to grow, to have a better place to live, if among those people there are people who are just harming or doing illegal things within our country and harming the community, then those people shouldn't get that opportunity. Those people should go back to their country. That's my view on that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know it wasn't an easy question, so I appreciate you doing it. We talked a little bit about the American dream, and I think people define it differently. I think you're defining it, well, living in America to you is about opportunity. I think the American dream to you is having the opportunity to do that. Is that fair? Or how would you sum up if someone said to you, and someone will in about a second, Lydia, what is the American dream?
American dream is opportunity. That's what this country has to offer to all of us immigrants. Opportunity. But you have to take that opportunity, that open door, and you have to go ahead and work really, really hard, prioritize education for you and your family, and persevere. To me, the American dream is opportunity, but it's very, very important what you do with the opportunity. You're going to meet people who believe in you, but they believe in you because they've seen the hard work that you're putting in. And you have to take those people, grow with them, appreciate them, and keep working really, really hard.
Let me ask you one last question. So, what are you going to do to celebrate July 4th?
I don't know. I think I will be celebrating through writing a research paper for law school. But no, I think the kids just want to kind of like have, the usual cookout, the American way. The kids want to do it the American way, but we put a little bit of the Dominican, we sprinkle it there, a little bit of the Dominican seasoning. We'll have fun. I think the whole family will come over and we just cook a little and just enjoy our time with the kids, which these days there's not a lot of time to spend together. So it would be nice to make it happen.
Well, I think that's just terrific. I think one of the fascinating things about America is how everyone has added something. It's not subtraction, it's all additive. And I always find it fascinating when I talk to people about Thanksgiving, how they put, we all have the turkey, but then people might have plantains, other people might have pasta, people might have noodles. I mean, I've always found it interesting how everyone brings their culture to America and how that it doesn't decrease our culture, it adds to our culture. And I've always found that fascinating. So Lydia, I really appreciate your time today. If anything else you'd like to add before we close?
I just want to thank you, Richard, for having me today. Thank you for reaching out. I look forward to chatting with you again, and I look forward to getting together and speak a little bit more about what we bring to the table and getting your thoughts on many, many topics that I know that you have good stuff to add to.
Well, thank you. I look forward to that as well. So, Lidia Fernandez, thank you for being on Unconventional Times. And as I like to say to my guests, Lidia, stay unconventional.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Unconventional Times with your host, Richard Gordon. Check out all of the episodes of Unconventional Times on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. To learn more about Richard Gordon and all of his unconventional conversations, head on over to unconventionaltimes.com. Thanks for listening.